Okay, so lately I've been thinking about the kind of work that doesn't get celebrated, the type that nobody claps for, the type that doesn't make it to, the social media platform and, it doesn't come with a new title or a big announcement. And I think that's honestly the season I'm in right now. There's no dramatic change happening right now. There's no big visible shifts. There's just a steady, intentional building behind the scene. But if I'm being honest, there are times and days that I don't see it as that at all. I don't see it that way at all, right? There are days I feel genuinely stuck, right? And I look around and it seems like, everyone else is just moving, right? New roles, new promotions, new certifications. There's just this big announcement somewhere, and I'm just here, right? And sometimes I sit with myself and I ask myself that am I really falling behind? Because because that's what we celebrate, right? We celebrate the visible stuff, the impressive resume, the fast climb, and if it looks good on paper, it means, things are going well, right? And I won't pretend that it doesn't get to me sometimes, especially when you're an ambitious person, especially when you know what you're capable of, right? But I think what I'm slowly learning, and I mean that literally, I'm slowly learning that, sometimes moving forward doesn't always look like moving up, right? Um, Sometimes it looks like preparation, right? Like, staying where you are while, building something underneath the surface that nobody can see yet, right? Like studying late at night, when the house is finally quiet, like opening my laptop when I'm actually just really tired and I just want to rest, like learning, new stuff, learning things that's, there's no audience, right? There's no applause, there's no announcement. It's just me and the decision to just keep going. Nobody sees the financial planning, um, the long conversations about budgets and goals and the not yet I have to say to myself so that the bigger yes is possible in the future. You know, even outside, even in marriage, nobody sees the conversations in your marriage that doesn't get posted, right? The moments where you choose to listen instead of react, where you choose to repair instead of pull away, and I honestly think that takes something out of you, and it counts, right? Nobody sees um the emotional regulation, the times where you have to pause before you respond to something that's really gotten under your skin, the times where you have to swallow your pride and handle things a bit differently than you would have handled a few years ago, right? And I think that's real. That's real work. And some days it just feels invisible, right? But I keep having to remind myself that um, that there's a difference between being stuck and just being in a slower season, right? I don't always feel the difference, but yeah, I'm learning it, right? I'm learning that being stuck is passive, but a slower season can look quiet, can look ordinary from the outside, while so much is actually shifting on the inside. Old patterns are breaking. You're expanding in ways that you can't, show people yet. And I'm learning that um, I don't just want something that looks impressive, right? I want something that's actually aligned, right? Something that's built on something that is real, right? I don't if that makes sense, right? And I think that takes time. It takes seasons where nobody's watching and you're just still showing up anyway. I think about that a lot, in terms of my faith as well. Like being seen by God in private, in the private moments is enough, right? The unseen effort is not lost, right? It's something that is held, right? And that's what I'm learning to hold on to. I don't know, maybe there's someone watching this and it feels you feel the same way. I hope it helps you to know that you're not alone. You're not the only one sitting with this. Maybe you feel behind. Maybe you feel like everyone else's life looks further along, right? I get that. I honestly really do. But being in a slower season doesn't always mean that you're small, and not being loud about your progress doesn't mean progress is not happening at all, right? So sometimes it's just I think it just means you're doing the deeper work, right, instead of the visible work. At least that's what I'm holding on to. So if you're in a season where it feels like nothing is happening, but you're studying, you're planning, you're healing, you're rebuilding, and you're regulating, and just showing up and just trying again. I think that's not falling behind. I think that's what building actually looks like, right? Most of the time. And if nobody has, if nobody has said it to you lately, what you're doing matters, right? Even the parts where nobody sees, right? You will know it was real. You will know you built in private. You will know um, that means something. And until then, we just keep going. We keep showing up. We keep trying again. Thank you for listening.